always think it's important whenever I do these videos that what you are doing here is more than just retention. In fact, I'm starting to really disassociate with even that word, not because I don't believe it has any value, but I believe it is inconsistent with what you're actually doing here. What you're doing here is you're practicing inner alchemy. You are becoming this master of the chemical elements of your body, the fire in your nervous system, the chemicals in your CNS, the innovation in your nerve endings. All of these things are like okay, SR for a first step. That's the first step. That's the first step. That's you being given the tools to work with. And now the question is, what are you going to do with those tools? Are you actually going to put them to good use? Or are you just going to sit on them, let them stew and overpower and overcome you, so you fall back into previous habits? Like this is the foundation, right? This is the foundation. You're now on a platform where you can start to work with very powerful energies, Shakti energy, pure, creative, and it is feminine energy, right? And if you know how to transmute this through your nerve plexuses, you can open up different worlds that you never thought were previously achieved by cultivating that, by cultivating it. So, rant over here, but it's important you recognize that, what we're doing here isn't SR. What we're doing here is alchemy. What we're doing here is becoming masters and the governors of our own human instrument. You're getting into the subconscious mind being the body. You're getting control over your autonomic nervous system. This is the potency in what this is offering you here. And it goes far beyond just cultivation of this particular asset. And I'll bring you more videos on this if you're interested in hearing about, breath work as yoga for the mind. Think about that. Breath work is yoga for the mind, meaning when you're doing yoga for the body and you're stretching let's say your arm through different ranges of motion, the same thing can happen when you're using breath work for the brain. You're accessing dormant parts of your mind. You're flooding with blood and oxygen and unlocking, you're unlocking your potential. You're literally unlocking your biology through this medium. We talk about the utility of yoga as well with the breath. So it's mind and body. You're accessing different parts of you that were otherwise, dormant. If you're, the only analogy I can give is like an RPG character, right? You've got your kind of wheel of skills and you've got strength, you've got flexibility here. You're starting to look in the areas that you never put any work into. And now you're starting to access it, and now things are changing. So insights from 10 years of working with this kind of energy, right? So I've been practicing SR since January 4th, 2013. In this time, I've had between 10 to 20 emissions in total. I went from May 2017, to February 2020 with 0 emissions. It has not been all joy and sunshine, but I would not trade it for anything and will continue to practice this until I die, working with your inner chemistry. For context, this individual is now 42. And this is the captain. I was devoid of purpose and goals from the time I was a young teenager until I began this journey 10 years ago. I squandered my younger years chasing pleasure through some of the adult material and benzos. I worked meaningless jobs and was depressed constantly. I was on antidepressants and only cared about what gave me immediate pleasure. So this is a symptom that many of you should be familiar with, or hopefully not too familiar with, that instant gratification culture. I was married and the relationship dynamic was mother-son. Right, married as mother, that Oedipus complex. A little note on that is I firmly believe when you start to become this inner alchemist and you are naturally starting to cultivate Shakti energy, you're starting to unlock the plexuses in your heart, in your solar plexus, in your root, in your voice as well, in your intuition, in your connection with divine, then you are, women especially are very sensitive to this subconscious attraction. And when you're able to better expand the areas of, what would you say, your influence, they're going to be very, very sensitive towards that. And the mother-son dynamic is seen from a, putting the female on this higher kind of pedestal and looking down upon, the son. It's me who's going to be responsible for the son. And this dynamic changes when you begin to work with the chemicals in your body. You begin to, again, unlock those nerve plexuses. You begin to unlock the dormant centers of your brain through using the breath, using prana. I accidentally came across Reddit and this particular forum in 2012. I just opened a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym and was extremely drained constantly. The promise of more energy and so-called superpowers was very compelling, so I gave it a shot. By day 3, I could feel the difference. By day 7, I felt unstoppable. He had an emission, unfortunately, on day 7 and regretted it. Now, one of the reasons I can tell that this individual is working with transmutative practices is because he's practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There is a big emphasis on, yoga, breathwork, staying calm under duress. This is transmutation in this essence, right? You have to be able to unlock the root, and you have to bring your sensitivity to this area and move that nervous biological energy from the root, circulate it around the nerve plexuses, store it in areas where it's not going to become, where it's not going to translate and transmute into things like frustration, tension, the aforementioned things we've already talked about. So it's an active process, guys. It is an active process. I can't say this enough. It is not enough to just have the tools, right? Have the tools, have the potential there, and do nothing with the potential. Just have it in your hand and just, I have it, day 7, day 8, day 9. It's nonsense. It does not work this way. We have to give it motility. We have to give it motion. You have to give it motion. And you do this by using the breath, not identifying with the emotions, okay? Meditation, kriyas, all these things. I'm not going to pretend like this is easy. It's not for everybody. Your pre-existing commitments with work, with other things in your life, with maybe pleasure, maybe you're not ready to hear this information. I wasn't ready to hear this information at certain points in my life. It's only now I'm beginning to really pick it up in this area. But the research I've done and the profound changes that are happening in the space of me starting to integrate more drastic, powerful, and potent transmutative practices are, again, it annoys me. It annoys me I never started it sooner. So the next time I went 30 days, then 40, then 90, then 120. It kept getting bigger. Business was going great. I was a magnet for business and unfortunately many women. I was married, but like I said, women were constantly after me. I loved the attention. To my deep regret, I ended up cheating on my wife. While using this energy, I felt like I could do no wrong and the rules did not apply to me. My business died off after that. And after 5 years later, my wife left me and being unable to get past it, understandably. It's not, and this is where I believe, and my interpretation of this is a stagnation of the tools you're being given, right? You hear this a lot. I get this question all the time. Joseph, I've been on SR for a select period of time, but I feel like I'm flatlining. I'm feeling like I'm not feeling how I should be feeling. It's because you're stagnant. It's because you're stagnant. Is because you're not doing your due diligence. You're not working with Shakti. You're not using prana. You're not using, yoga. Or it doesn't even need to be yoga. It could be Tai Chi. It could be Qigong. Some kind of energetic work. You need to mobilize the energy. Breathe into the nerve plexuses, which is another synonym for those wheels of the chakra wheels. Okay, I know not a lot of people like the Vedic terminology that I use, but the scientific lens is the endocrine system plexuses, right? Your endocrine system, like your thyroid, like your heart, like your solar plexus, hangs off your spinal cord. They're like big balloons, right? Big balloons hanging off the spinal cord. And they're all wrapped around these big nerve plexuses. And when you bring your intention, you bring your mind into, I've got Ajna chakra here. No, Ajna chakra is, I believe, here. The heart chakra, right? The nerve plexuses. I'm bringing my attention and my innovation to the nerves here. And I'm using prana, I'm using oxygen, scientific terminology, to awaken and stretch those nerves like yoga. Like yoga. This doesn't happen overnight. And you're accessing all the nervous energy there, and you're breathing it back into the CNS, back into the nervous system. You're circulating that energy. It's not there. It's not stale. It's not stagnant. And that's what happens at the root. That's what happens at the pelvic floor. Stagnant energy. Breathe into the nerve plexuses. Move the energy up. Circulate it round. I didn't start this post thinking I would be in a therapy session. This process makes you more immune to life's hardships more than anything that I could ever imagine. Yeah, if you use the energy, for sure. The main insights, I skipped over a bit here, pardon me. I moved out of state. This is when this individual is starting to work with this energy again. Using this energy got me through the hell of losing my wife of 20 years. A lot of negative emotions for himself. Only using this energy allowed him to distance himself from those emotions, and meditative practices will go a long way here. When using this energy, no matter what happened, I could get by. I started over completely. I started a new personal training business. I met a new woman who was incredible, who I'm now married to. I practiced this with her despite the challenges that arise of using this in a relationship. And this is where you have to open up the door to recognize, well, if I'm in a position now where I'm mastering my own energy and, I'm confident, then I can start to move into practices of when you're bringing somebody into the relationship. You can do white tantra, you can do kareza, and you can learn how to use both energies, both female sexual energy and male sexual energy, not just for procreative or pleasure-driven purposes, but higher spiritual development. So the main insights this individual can give regarding to using this energy is that it only works if you give up the idea that it will make you better than others, and to use the energy for any beneficial purposes other than pursuing pleasure. There is no such thing as a flat line. I believe that. I know that. I don't just believe it, I know it. The energy is there. It just needs to be expressed, as I've been saying countless times. If you are feeling frustration, if you are feeling challenges, it's you're on stagnant water. You're sitting on stagnant water. Mobilize it. Heat it up. Circulate it. Breathe into it. Move it. Anything you take on will be with heightened intensity. You will feel internally unstoppable, but just remember, you are not. There are too many posts on the sub talking about how beautiful life is and how it flows perfect now. Yes, that was the case. It doesn't last for long. It is simply an armor against true hardships of life. Will it make your life better? Yes, 100%, but it will not fix everything. That is a very mature way to describe it. And I'm certainly not. I certainly agree. I'm definitely of that opinion, but more credence to motility of this energy. I've said that enough throughout this video. Breathwork videos are coming, guys. I know you really want to, me to do a practical video in this. I understand. My only reservations is I want to bring you something that's very, very high quality, and that is going to continue to bring value, over time, that you can come back to and use as a guide. I'm actually thinking about making a whole different channel dedicated purely to breath work, where it's all just practical stuff, and here is just more theory. Maybe masculine practical. So you got masculine theory, masculine practical. Maybe not. But if those of you who can't wait, resources that I would have you look into. any books on pranayama, there's The Science of Breath. I can't remember the author. There is also, I mean, Wim Hof method can do this, can mobilize this, is using prana. You can read Mula Bandha to start getting access to, you know, the root and the nerve innovations in this area here. Other resources, I believe there's this The Science of Pranayama is a really good book to read as well. Those should give you some pieces of information to start to get going, but don't overthink it. I sit down every single morning in Siddhasana, and I will do my breath work. I will focus on innovating the pelvic floor, or wherever I feel the energy, if it's in the solar plexus, if it's in the heart, if it's in Ajna, and I will draw it into the CSF, into the spinal cord, into the brain. I will circulate it. This is called subtle energy for a reason, because it's subtle. You have to practice every day. It is not enough to, you know, you need to develop this like a muscle, like any other muscle. And if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. We're going into the realms here of the occult practitioners, guys. We're going into the realms of inner alchemy, of being an alchemist. You know, the teachings I'm trying to bring you and the level we're trying to go to comes from individuals who were sannyasis. You know, they completely renounced Western culture. They sat up in, you know, caves in the Himalayas and purely were just exploring inside here, inside the body, inside the nerves, inside the endocrinology, inside the chemicals. It takes dedication. And those dedicated will find a new kind of mastery over themselves that they could never have dreamed of. You're talking about, oh, I'm finding it difficult to quit weed. Yeah, no problem. I'm finding it difficult to quit alcohol. Yeah, no problem. If I have master over my nervous system, oh, I have a cold, I'm getting sick. Yeah, no problem. I can access the autonomic nervous system now. You know, I'm not claiming I can do all these things, but what I'm researching and what my intuition is telling me from reading some of this material, this occult material, this esoteric material, the Vedantic material, the occult material, is this is nothing new. This is nothing new. This is old. This is old magic. This is old alchemy. So, these are not theories. These are facts. Speak soon.